Hello everybody, welcome to our May Training Tuesday event for OU Campus. Today's topic is recent and upcoming updates. We'll be taking a look at some of the new features from 10.5 and changes to the Insights module, as well as previewing some of the updates to come. During the presentation, all participants will be in a listen-only mode as the session is being recorded. If you have a question during the presentation, you may submit it online by clicking on the Q&A tab located on the right-hand side of your WebEx window. Make sure it's the Q&A tab and not chat, so we have your email address in case your question warrants a follow-up reply. Simply type your question into the dialog box at the bottom of the screen and send. We will attempt to address your questions during the presentation. After the formal presentation is ended, we'll review and answer all remaining questions. And actually, today I am your presenter. My name is Erica Bogosian. I am a technical writer here at Omni Update. And so with that, let's get into the presentation. All right, so agenda pretty simple. We're going to look through 10.5. The two major things from that update is code folding and some other enhancements for the source code editor, as well as we're going to take a look at the newest gadget, the Assets gadget. We're going to look over some of the updates that have been made to the Insights module. Most noticeably how insights.txt file, the function of that file, as well as what the broken links and spelling reports look like. And then we're going to get a sneak preview of what's coming up with 10.6, which is projected to be released in a few weeks. We're going to look at the always use HTTPS function and some changes to how the groups and users interface works. So first, let's go into OU Campus itself, and let's look at some of the things with 10.5. So first, we're going to look at the Assets gadget, and because this is a brand new gadget, so right now I'm in the Setup menu. I'm looking at Gadgets, and reminder that only Level 10 administrators can view the Setup menu. And this is the new gadget, the Assets gadget. And first of all, because it is a new gadget, it won't be automatically added to your lineup of gadgets. You do need to add it from the Marketplace, which you can find under Add-ons, Marketplace. And most of you I'm sure are familiar with this, but for those who aren't, you'll see there's modules, gadgets, and mine, you can see I've already installed it, but if I hadn't, it would have this blue Add button. And as a Level 10 administrator, I simply would click Add. It would be added to my account, and now I can view it here in the Setup menu. It's a pretty simple gadget, so let's just go into an editable region to check it out. Because gadgets are context-specific, this one is no exception, and the Assets gadget will only appear if you have an open editable region of the page, because what it does is, like the Images gadget, like the Snippets gadget, it allows you to easily add assets into an editable region. So you'll see I've got the asset here in my gadget sidebar. So when I expand it, I see a list of all the assets I have on my site. And I can filter by type, so if I want a specific image gallery, I can filter just for image galleries. Also, I can search by tags. You can see I've got some different tags here. And then any assets with that tag will show up as a result. And if I want to remove the tag, I just click it, click X, and now it's an unfiltered search again. So let's say I've decided, all right, I just want, let me put in the contact form. So if I click on an asset, I can preview it, and the preview will depend on the type of asset. So you can see this is a form, so it'll show me the number of elements in the form, what the success and the failure message look like, and then it'll show me these simple previews of each element in the form. So say this is a checkbox, the number of items in the checkbox. I can preview what that element looks like. If I were to preview this web content asset, simply shows me what's in here, and looks like I've got some Shakespeare quotes. So again, pretty simple. If we're going to preview the source code, this one, I believe that's, all right, I'm not using our browser, but we'll preview, here we go. So here, it shows the source code preview, pretty simple. And then if we preview a gallery, it'll show me, the images in the gallery, their descriptions, if there's any captions or links. And I believe, and finally for any plain text assets, same thing, it's just previewing the text. So pretty simple, but now that I've got all my, now that I can preview all my assets, if I want to include one, there's a couple ways to do that. One, if I'm previewing it, I can simply click Insert, and it'll pop into the page right where my cursor is. So you'll see it's now been inserted up here, or if I get rid of that, I can also click and then just drag it into the editable region, and ta-da, it's on the page. Another option is if I'm viewing it from, no, sorry, never mind. So yeah, basically, two main ways. You can just, if you're previewing it, click Insert, and it'll stick it on the page wherever your cursor is, or just click, drag, and there's your asset right there on the page. Pretty simple to use, very similar to the Images gadget, to the Snippets gadget, just allowing you to use assets as well. And so now that I've got this asset, I will just save it, and you can see the asset has been placed on the page. Pretty simple, pretty handy to use. The other main feature of 10.5 that we're going to look at is how the source, some changes to the source code editor. And you can access source code from up here. We were just in edit view. We were looking at the page, click source, pretty simple news. Depending on your user level, you might not have access to source code, as that is something that can be configured by specific settings set up by your administrators. So, and also I believe that some of the lower user levels, but most people, or most higher level users, you should have access. And so a couple different things. One is we've introduced code folding. So you'll see the little arrows on the side here. So if I want to, say, oh, there's this whole section, I know what I want to get out of the way to make it more readable, click this, and you'll see it's all been turned into one line. And this little bit here with the blue arrow, I can click that to expand it again. So everything, so we've got this node here, so all the things inside it, if you fold it, they all get squished into this little bit, and you can either click that to expand or click the arrow to expand as well. Pretty simple. We've also added in some autocomplete options, which, if you're typing in a hurry, so if I open this, suddenly I've got, just typing a caret, it'll pull up these options from content already in the page. So I decide parameter, I close that. So all different, and obviously these are going to be context specific. I'm not going to run through every single option that shows up, but there are some autocomplete options that have been introduced into Source Editor as well. So that should save some time when typing up things. And those are the, oh, and also for code folding, you can also do it with a keyboard command. So if you're, so if I have this selected and I'm on a Windows computer, so I do Control Q and it folds, Control Q again to open. If you're on a Mac, that's Command Q. So just some little enhancements making the product easier to use. And so that's the 10.5 updates, Assets Gadget, code folding, pretty simple. Now we're going to look at, some of the Insights updates. And there's been a couple different things. One is the function of insights.txt. And when the Insights module initially came out, the purpose behind this was it was a list of every URL in the site that you wanted to be scanned. So you had to manually update it every time new pages were added. It was the only way Insights knew which pages you wanted to be scanned. However, we've now made a change to Insights where it will automatically scan every page in your site managed by OU Campus. And now the purpose of insights.txt, this file, is to add in pages outside of your site that aren't managed by OU Campus that you also want to be scanned. Although if they're not managed by OU Campus, you may not be able to edit them, obviously. And you can also exclude certain sites. So if you see up here, these 4 URLs, you notice how they have a minus sign in front of the URL. That means Insights, when it reads this file, knows not to scan these 4 URLs. So perhaps you have some archives that you don't necessarily want to show up in the Insights report because they're not being used, it's just extra clutter, or you have some resource files you don't want to show up. You can then exclude them from your Insights search. And it must be a full URL with the http://. So that's insights.txt. It's a little easier to, you don't have to worry when you add a new page about adding it to the file. It'll automatically be scanned. The file is just to add sites that won't be or to exclude certain sites. Now, the other thing with the Insights report is we've added some changes to links and to spelling. You'll now see when you open the broken links report, it gives you a list of every single broken link that appears in the site and also how many pages it's on. And this is a sort of a test site, so some of these links might look a little strange. But as you'll see, for each link, it says pages affected, and then when you select View Pages, you can now see every page that broken link appears on, and you have an option to view the page report for that page. And I also believe that, okay. And you can also, this one, we've got a lot of results. You can view more. And if the page is managed by the OU Campus implementations, you'll also be able to go to that page and edit it. So, broken link, view page, or you view the page URLs, page report. And spelling functions in the same way. You'll see the misspelled word. It'll tell you how many pages it's on that are affected. Click View Pages. It shows you the list of all the pages. You can view the page report for that page. You also can add the word to the dictionary right from here. So like Facebook, obviously not a misspelled word. It's, I want to add that to my dictionary. I've clicked Added. Now Facebook has been added to the dictionary, and if I refresh the page, well, it says it's been added. So when Insights rescans, it will no longer pick up on Facebook as a misspelled word. So just, and if there's more than, obviously, I guess, a lot of these pages, a lot of these words, we've got a lot of results here, you can page through. But this way, instead of just viewing a whole long list, you can see a misspelled word, how many pages it's on, view the reports for those pages, go to that page to edit it. So again, just some minor tweaks that are helping improve the product. All right, and I do have a Q&A question here. Oops, let me expand this window. Let's see. I have a question that says, Command Q isn't going to work for code folding in most browsers because it's the quick command and in OS. All right, I'm not a Mac user, so I may have gotten that wrong. I can check in with the dev team and see what command they have for, actually, I know this is on our support site, so I can look that up now about which, what the correct code for that one is, so sorry about this. I'm so used to Windows, I just assumed, oh, it'll be the same. So, So according to the documentation, it says Command Q. I'm not sure, that may just have been an error in taking this down, so I can follow up with that and update the documentation here about what it is for a Mac user. So sorry about that. I will get that updated. And that's it for the Insights updates. And the final thing that we're going to look at, so we've looked at campus, we're just going to do some sneak previews of what 10.6 will look like. And there's these are going to be a little more complicated, but hopefully also a little more exciting. The first thing is we're going to be introducing a site setting called Always Use HTTPS. Obviously, HTTPS, secure sites, it's becoming more of a concern. Just, you know, the pace of technology marches on. Now, with OU Campus already uses HTTPS to process any sensitive information, so turning this on will just enforce it throughout the rest of your OU Campus implementation. I'm also getting confirmation that it's Control Q for Mac as well, in terms of the code folding. So I guess, sorry, again, I'm not a Mac user, I'm not familiar with that, but yeah, Control Q for both Windows and Mac for code folding. And so to go back to always use HTTPS, I have a question saying means it works both HTTPS. So I'll get into that, but basically you cannot have a site be both, it must be one or the other. So with always use HTTPS, this OU Campus already uses HTTPS to process some sensitive information using, and so using HTTPS will enforce it for your entire implementation, but will not affect your live website. And so for OU Campus to integrate properly with your live website, it must be already set up. We have a question, where is that HTTPS option? This is 10.6. It hasn't been released yet. This is a sneak preview of what it will be. So we will be seeing this soon. Obviously, there will be an announcement when 10.6 comes out. And Ryan also has a question, why is HTTPS not on by default? So again, because your website must be HTTPS as well, so if OU Campus is to be HTTPS, and as not every school has their site in HTTPS, we can't turn it on by default. So instead we have this setting where you can turn it on under Setup Account. And again, using this setting will not affect your live website. All of your coding, all of your source files, those must be changed by you. What HTTPS does is when you turn it on, it will validate hard-coded URLs within OU Campus. So this includes things like add-ons or auxiliary sites, custom gadgets, template thumbnails, HTTP root of your site, obviously. So when this goes through, it will look through, it will validate. If the results return with an error, it will tell you what needs review, and it will give you this option here to view results in a new window. And you will be able to see every URL in your site that has HTTP instead of HTTPS. It'll tell you where it is, such as add-ons, auxiliary sites, and you can go and you can change it. Once you pass all these checks, you know, everything checks out, it then asks you to confirm yourself that you've reviewed your resources to ensure they're HTTPS, such as, again, hard-coded things like XSL, HTML, CSS, and that is on the user to change because a lot of it involves find and replace. We do have an article on our support site knowledge base about how to switch your site over to HTTPS, and we do have a Training Tuesday planned in the future showing you how to do that as well. But basically, the validator can only manage URLs that are within how OU Campus works in terms of your site coding itself. And your production server, that is up to you to keep those updated to HTTPS. But Once that's all checked, once all those passes are met, you can turn on HTTPS, and it will, again, enforce, basically it will enforce these settings and any other settings in Omni Update and all the, not Omni Update, OU Campus. It will enforce using HTTPS for the entire implementation. And again, it will not automatically convert your live site to HTTPS. It deals with the OU Campus implementation itself. So, but then once it's on, and you don't have to worry about that. The other thing we're going to look at is the groups and users interface. Let's see. So this is just functions of things aren't changing as much. It's just an easier way to add users to groups, or vice versa. You can now assign a user to several groups, several users to one group, or several users to several groups, all from the same interface. If you go to user, you select assign to group, you'll now see the window that will pop up. It will show you all available groups and all available users. And the user you've selected will automatically be selected, but you can also pick others. You pick the users you want, you pick the groups you want, you select assign, they're in the group. Very simple. You can, as you can see, multiple users can go in multiple groups. So this way, say you've just created a bunch of new users and you want to add them to lots of groups, you can all do it from the same window instead of going to each group individually. If you're editing a group, you can see all available users and then just click, I want Bernice, I want Craig, add them in, done. You can also deselect them if you want to remove them from the group, same process. You will also have the ability to, if you're looking at your users, and we've had the create group. If you select multiple users, you'll be able to create group, but now you can also assign, and it'll take you to that same modal where you assign just directly from the groups, from the users you have selected. I have another question that says, is there a way to copy the group assignments of one user to another? I don't believe there is, since there's not really a way to copy any of the user settings as far as I'm aware. But that might be a thing to suggest for future updates. And so that's pretty much it. Groups and users interface, very simple. It's an updated interface, much better than the arrows, switching back and forth. And again, this is 10.6. It's not out yet, but we're anticipating it very soon, so stay tuned for that release. And if there are any other questions, I'm here to answer them. I know this was a little bit of a shorter session, but I think we're all coming back from a holiday weekend, so I thought I would keep it casual. All right. I know HTTPS might be a little tricky, so if there's anything about that people have questions about, feel free to ask. If I don't know, I can route that to somebody else who does. Okay. Well, since there's no questions, I'm just going to hype next month's Training Tuesday. Let's see. Okay. Oh, I just got 3 questions at once. Wow. All right. So first question is, do you have any idea when the group approvals will be released? I'm not sure what you mean by group approvals. If you're talking about custom user roles, that's scheduled for later in this year. I believe that's also, Josh Pia, with your question about plans in revamping the group system and making it more flexible for instance system. Yes, if you're talking about ACLs and custom user roles, that is set on the roadmap for towards the end of this year was the last thing I heard. So another question is soon in terms of weeks or months for 10.6 at this point. We're looking at weeks. The last I heard from the dev team was, I believe, 3 to 4 weeks. So hopefully not much, there won't be any sort of unexpected problems to solve, and it will come out within that time frame. And let's see. Ryan Acevedo is excited to learn how to set up HTTPS. Yes, we are not next month, because next month is going to be page templates, but I believe the month after we're going to do a Training Tuesday specifically on HTTPS and how to set your site up for that. And Josh Pia, any update on dynamic assets? I heard something about having an asset that allows options upon embedding on a page. That is components, and that is, so that's another thing that it's not quite an asset, it's sort of a different thing. Those are being pushed for this summer. And so that's a little further down the pipeline from what we have now. All right. Okay, great. Well, so next month's Training Tuesday is going to be June 27th on the topic of understanding page templates. We've done this before, so it'll be a refresher for some people, but I'm sure also, helpful information for newer customers. So be sure, we'll be announcing that on the OCN, on the support site. You can also go to the support site for a recording of this Training Tuesday and for the PowerPoint slides in case you needed a refresher at some point. And, all right, if there are no further questions, all right, thank you everybody for coming back after a holiday weekend and listening to me talk about the OU campus updates. All right, thanks.